And now to our discussion segment, consumers of goods and services the world over are protected under consumer law, with Nigeria not being an exception. For instance, the consumer contract regulations give online cancellation rights, while the Consumer Rights Act protects the rights of people to return a faulty good, among many other rights to a consumer. In continuous efforts to enhance consumers' rights in the country, this week the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission FCCPC appealed to stakeholders in the production and distribution value chain of the economy to join the crusade to curb price fixing and other unethical practices that affect the consumer. Well, consumer protection amidst price fixing is the focus of our discussion on Business Express today. And our guest in the studio is Aliyu Shata. He is the Board Director, Association of Digital Finance Practitioners of Nigeria. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Well, how protected, to delve into the conversation, how protected consumers in Nigeria? Is it a matter of shortages of consumer protection laws or a question of implementation?
I think it's a nexus that connects both together, but largely it's about awareness. Yes, you have the act, but how many people really do know they are right? Because we've had several cases where it's always been the case of what I either buy versus what I got, or what I ordered versus what was delivered, right? So there's always, that conflict that exists between the consumer and, of course, the merchant. So one of the things that I feel that is the missing link, which is exactly what I've mentioned in my opening plea, is awareness. How aggressive is the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission is, pursuing aggressively the concept around enlightenment, awareness drive, and ensuring that, we have different platforms today where people, can reach out and communicate, with the commission. We have social media. A lot of things go viral there. So we can have some snippet of, this act, right, in form of an engaging communicating platform for consumers to at least be aware of their right and know where to go to when their right is being violated or when their right is being trampled upon. And we have several cases. I'm pretty sure that if we open a toll line today for Nigerians to air their grievances, you will be shocked at the amount of the kind of complaints we are going to have. So for me, it's largely around restructuring, the concept of enacting the law, implementing the law, and also spreading awareness.
But do you think we have enough laws to actually penalize businesses that shortchange customers?
Sure, we do. I think in a platform, somebody once mentioned that the Nigerian problem is actually not about ideas or about content. It's about execution. So you see that we have several of these, concept policies, but they are not really being executed properly. And that's exactly where we look at the enforcement team. And if you are talking about enforcement, I think enforcement should go beyond just having physical presence to do a spot check.
So you're saying that enforcement is somehow poor?
Yes, it's poor. We can leverage on a lot of technology today. And it still goes back to awareness, because if I, as a customer, if I'm aware of my right and I know how to make complaints when my rights are being trampled upon, I know what to do to capture that moment and report it to the regulated authorities. And that's exactly what I feel we are supposed to be doing, because if the merchants, right, if they know that consumers know their right, and even when you walk into a store or a mall, the first thing that you see is a stamp of, Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Council to say, know your right. When your right is being trampled upon, you can call this line, or you can email this, send an email to this email address, or escalate through this platform. These are ways, it's not rocket science. These are ways where we can actually make this enforceable, and you can see that almost everybody will comply.
Now,
Then,
how do you rate consumer services to individuals and households as a whole? And what is lacking? What do you think is lacking?
I think it's quality and efficiency of delivery in terms of service, right? One thing is there are people who hold quality dearly, right? And if you look at it, you see, I don't want to mention names. There are a lot of companies today. If you ask Nigerians, to give choices of where to go, to either get services or to get their goods, if you do a roll call, they will tell you spot on where they need to go to get those items. Why? Because quality is guaranteed, right? But today, we have an ecosystem that is driving social media platform with commerce, where you have what you call the marketplace, right? Then everybody leverages this social media to, either buy one or two things or put their goods out there for consumers to get. I have been a victim before where what I saw, right, on Instagram and what I eventually got, was totally different. And it was very, very, painful because one.
But how do you handle a situation like that?
Yes, so a situation like that, first, one, the merchant has to be registered, right? You need to ensure first that the merchant is registered with regulated authorities. The merchant has a business name, which is what the government has been emphasizing on. So an individual doesn't just pick up items and begin to display them, and you go on those social media and begin to purchase. That business has to have identity, and that identity should be able to be tracked. Not just being tracked, but has to be legally valid, for you to be able to consummate transaction on that platform. And that is where regulation also comes to play. I know that for the e-commerce space in Nigeria, we don't have a particular regulatory body that is really, beaming searchlight on that. Because if we do, all of those who are present in the marketplace, together with the e-commerce, or whether you want to call it service technology, right? All these people can come together on that platform, and a regulated body will give guidelines and give policies that can guide and safeguard the interests and the rights of every citizen,
or
every consumer.
Okay. Another sector to look at is airline service providers in Nigeria. They seem to go about cancelling flights and rescheduling and other breach of services with little or no apologies and compensation. Why is this so common in Nigeria, and what can be done? What do you think can be done to actually address this problem?
Yeah, there's no reward and punishment. That's just the simple truth. Because if there's reward and punishment, reward in the sense that if you are doing the right thing, right, as an operator, what is the regulator doing to encourage you, to put you out there, to even promote your business more? And when other competitors see that, the regulators are tilting towards you and are projecting your business more, and you are making profit, everybody will want to do what? Toe into that same line and ensure that they are doing the right thing. So there will be effective and open competition. Now, for punishment, we've had several ministers of aviation come and read the Riot Act. Unfortunately, we don't really see anything being done, even when they violate these, guidelines. I will give a typical example. I think it was the former Minister of Aviation that, read out the Riot Act and said that if your flight is being delayed for like an hour, right, they go around and serve you snack and give you drinks. If you delayed after 3 or 6 hours, they have to give you accommodation, they have to shelter you, and they have to pay for damages as well, right? But at the end of the day, you see that nothing of such happened. I think I've traveled severally at the airport, and you see that most of these operators violate these guidelines. And I think it was only one occasion I see only one airline that, postponed or reschedule someone's some passengers trip, going around to give them snack and drink. But you don't really see this happen often because there's no checks and balances. Nobody is actually looking at what is going on. And that's, we still go back to technology, because if everything is well automated I don't need to come to the airport,
Okay,
right?
before we do that, another issue is consumer exploitation in terms of pricing.
Yeah.
The FCCPC has been trying to curb price fixing. Is it something achievable in a society like Nigeria?
Yes,
And
it
how?
is. It is, which is the point I was about to actually go
Okay.
on. If you leverage
That's-
on technology, I mean, technology says everything all to you, right? Every time there should be a platform whereby price listing and the items or an inventory is captured on a global platform. Now, the regulators have that platform, and they can checkmate it against every other businesses that has registered with them, and they are regulating, right? At every point in time, they know when price is changing. And if those prices that are being displayed that they have visibility on is not displayed at the shelf, right? Then they can do occasional spot check, to try to marry what they have tech-wise and see what they also have when you go for the spot check. And with that, you can see that most of those who actually perpetrate this act will desist from it because they know the consequences. They know that if any consumer, blow that whistle, right, regulators will come on them and they are going to suffer dearly. Now, in terms of regulation as well, what licenses are being given to these people and how often do you renew their licenses? Because I want to believe that there are certain safety nets or safety measures that they are supposed to put in place for consumer, not just even you going there to purchase an item. How safe is the environment, for instance, right? How conducive is there for even the workers that are working there? Because they might be your staff, but they are also consumers, right? So if all of these are, being looked at and is watched, from not just the technology point, but also for the spot check. If you can marry both, then you have your source of truth versus, the technology that you are deploying to actually ensure that they are doing the right thing.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you very much, Aliyu Shata. It's been a pleasure having you to talk to us about consumer protection.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure.